Hi there. Welcome back to Halibbebsparentingspot. So a friend of mine was telling me that their six and a half year old no longer has interest in reading, and she doesn't know what to do. So one of the most common reasons that I find in today's society why children are no longer interested in reading is that there's a lot more exposure to TV and video games and electronic gadgets. It's just too many available to children. So by cutting down on things like that, you can slide in reading in a really smooth way. So, but before we talk about the suggestions that I gave my friend, let's first of all understand the importance of reading on your child's overall development. So, reading to your child is known to be great, but it doesn't always have to come in the form of story time with a picture book. It could just look around you, look around the world we're living in today, and see, you will see reading everywhere. And as much as you see it, that's how your child also sees it. So it's up to you to bring your attention to it. So what I know is that reading to your child is one of the best ways for your child to acquire the knowledge they need for eventual success, because it is the foundation for early literacy. So it is also a bonding activity with your child. Most children they actually look forward to that moment to spend with you, cuddling, maybe sitting on your lap, just to have that time with you, because especially for most busy parents, that is a time of the day that they can give that one-on-one attention to their child. So reading to your child can also help to reduce stress in the child because it helps them relax. And because you see your child, how relaxed they are when you're reading to them. Reading to your child can also promote early reading skills, because if you want your child to be able to read someday, you have to start reading to them right now while they are still very little. It also expands your child's vocabulary, because imagine that you want to read to maybe your toddler and you get a book. You would always highlight the word book so that stays in your child's mind, and for your child to eventually know that that is a book. You would repeat it a few times. You would mention the color of the book. It's a red book, it's a blue book. You can always give your child options by asking them, what book would you like to read? Would you like to read the book about birds, or would you like to read the book about cars? So it increases your child's attention span as well, because most children will sit down with you to read a book for about 3, 4, 5 minutes, depending on their age. But it will be hard for them to focus on maybe a writing activity for that long. So reading also helps in that. So reading to your child also teaches them about different topics, and it actually encourages open-mindedness in your child, because imagine yourself as a parent who has never been exposed to books, and by books I mean any form of literature. So imagine your mind then and your mind right now. It's something that is very, very incomparable. So reading to your child also improves your memory, because sometimes you would notice that your child wants you to read a specific book to them over and over and over, and you might get tired of reading it actually. But guess what? Eventually your child will know that story by heart, and they will be able to read along with you. So you see that they've memorized the story at that point. It also allows your child's imagination to grow beyond their reading ability into a world where they can actually wonder. And isn't that what you want for your child? Because their imagination exposes them to experiences that they would ordinarily not know. So the more you read to your child, when it's time for them to go to school, learning will be much more fun for them, because they will not feel left behind. I also think that it gives reading to your child gives your child a natural way for them to understand basic literacy concepts. You know that, but they're getting it in a really subtle way that they don't even know, because it helps them to understand things like the plot of the story, the setting, the theme, conflicts in the story, the characters in the story, and the conclusion, like even much more. So now, here are a few ideas that I suggested to my friend, and I'm sharing them with you right now. It's it's easy to rekindle the interest in your reading in your child by telling them stories that you read as a child. For example, you can tell a story that you actually enjoyed while you were a child. It could be an oral story handed down to you from your grandparents. Make a big deal out of it. Talk about how interesting it was, and why you still remember it until now. So your child will be learning from you that stories are pleasurable and they're long lasting. So get books for your child that are age appropriate. Avoid books that are very wordy. If your child is only a 6-year old who is trying to put sounds together to make words, and who is actually learning how to read at that age. So try to make reading a family tradition in your home, which means that you, the parent, you have to model reading to your child. You have to actually sit down with books in your hands and read in front of your child. Because remember that your child will easily copy what you do more than what you say. So remember to get books also that are connected to other activities that your child is interested in. For example, if your child is interested in cars, get books that are connected to cars. If your child is interested in trains, get books that are connected to trains, nature, superheroes, Barbies, animals. Get books that are related to your child's interests so that they would be willing to read those stories. So before getting a book, also try and browse. Just flip through the pages. Look for catchy illustrations, and maybe something that has a little bit of humor, or you can make humor out of it while you're reading to your child. Now, when it's time to read that story to your child, use an interesting tone of voice and be present in the actions of those characters. Don't sound sleepy. Don't sound tired. Even though you might be tired, pretend to be very much awake, which means that you should at least talk about one part of the story that you enjoyed reading, and encourage your child to share a part of the story that they enjoyed as well. So pretend to be nonchalant. This is one thing that we always forget, because most of the time we do the contrary. Pretend to be nonchalant if your child doesn't want to read with you, if your child doesn't show interest in the book or the books that you have. Don't take it to heart. Instead, you can use some reverse psychology with your child. Sit down with that book. Read it out loud. Pretend you're having an amazing time with the story. Put a smile on your face. Enjoy it in front of your child and watch your child's reaction. So remember, anything that involves force or too much pressure might be counterproductive in instilling the joy of learning, the joy of reading into your child. So you can always think of other, like a lot more other ways, like ways that are even more creative to get your child to be interested in reading. But for now, these are my suggestions. So thank you for watching till the end again, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.